So today we will be discussing uh, pure theory of law, perhaps the lost theory because we are already done with the with our classes almost. There is one or two more topics that I will see how would I teach you. Obviously, they are not that difficult. These are about the sources of law, legislation, and the precedent and its kind. I will see if I could deliver it today or maybe in the next class and make up so that the course should be wind up now. Now about this theory, if I just want to recall and I ask you people what was the positive law theory, what was their main starting point of the positive law theory? जी, do you remember positive law theory का main contention क्या था and how it was different from the natural law theory?
सर लॉ उनके
Sir,
मुताबिक
law is
वही
the
है जो कि सॉवरन देता है, और नेचुरल लॉ वाले कहते थे कि मोरालिटी का वो इंटरनल एस्पेक्ट भी लॉ का मतलब मद्देनजर रखते थे, लेकिन पॉजिटिविस्ट ऑस्टन हो गया वो इंटरनल एस्पेक्ट को नहीं मद्देनजर रखते थे। ये क्लासिकल पॉजिटिविस्ट थे, लेकिन जो मॉडर्न जिस तरह HLA आर्ट है वो इंटरनल एस्पेक्ट को भी मद्देनजर रखते थे।
ठीक है। What about empirical and metaphysics debate in natural law and positive law theory?
सर empirical
second one
मैं कंटिन्यू कर देता हूँ। सर नेचुरल लॉ थ्योरिस्ट मेटाफिजिकल अप्रोच को ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस देते थे, जबकि पॉजिटिव लॉ एम्पिरिसिज्म यानी कि नॉलेज कैन ओनली बी गेन थ्रू सेंसेस एंड एक्सपीरियंस यानी साइंटिफिक अप्रोच को ज्यादा प्रेफरेंस देते थे।
Fine. And when they would say empirical or scientific approach or through with the help of senses or empiricism, तो उस empiricism के लिए वो कौन सी फैक्ट्स की तरफ रेफर करते थे हमें? When they would say that use your senses, so उन सेंसेस के साथ हमने किस तरह क्या एक्सपीरियंस करना था in order to get into the positive law theory?
सर लॉ एज इट इज यानी जो फैक्चुअल लॉ जो हमारे सामने है ना, कंसेप्ट ऑफ लॉ, वो उसकी तरफ एम्फसाइज करते थे।
Yes, law as it is fine. What were the other facts that
सर
will
लॉ
help us?
एज इट इज ऑट टू बी, सर उसकी तरफ वो कहते थे कि इसकी तरफ नहीं आपने फोकस करना।
ठीक है, I mean as it is में they were trying to say that we need to see certain facts. ऐसे ही था कुछ? We have to
जी सर, वो कहते थे कि जो लीगल, यस सर, वो ये कहते थे कि जो लीगल सिस्टम हमारे पास प्रेजेंट है हमें उसी के अंदर से देखकर उन्हीं कंसेप्ट को समझकर लॉ को डिराइव करना चाहिए।
ठीक है। 36 आप कुछ ऐड करना चाह रहे थे?
सर ये अब जब ये एम्पिरिसिज्म में आप जो लॉ को ऑब्जर्व करके उनके प्रिंसिपल्स के बारे में बताते हो कि इसको ऑब्जर्व मतलब,
अच्छा, क्या सिर्फ लॉ को जब हमने ऑब्जर्व करना होगा कि दिस इज द लॉ, उसके लिए उन्होंने फिर मजीद क्या क्राइटेरिया दिया था? I mean, how would I determine empirically with my experiment that this is the law? How would I be knowing that this is the law?
सर सॉवरन का होना लाजमी था उसमें, और सॉवरन की फिर कमांड भी होती थी, और कमांड जो है वो सैंक्शन उसे बैक कर रही थी। बेसिकली जो ऑस्टन की डेफिनेशन है वही, ये
Yes.
मेन चीज होनी चाहिए थी।
And Yes, you're right. So the sovereign was something that was empirically observable. ऐसा ही था ना?
यस सर, ह्यूमन होता था तो ऑब्जर्वेबल होता था वो.
Observable था. You could see, you could observe with your senses without reference to the metaphysics. You could see that this is a sovereign because sovereign is someone who is in the habit of giving commands and the people are in the habit of obeying his command. Oh, yes, this is in this society, this individual or the collection of individual, their commands are being really obeyed habitually. So he seems to be that sovereign. Fine. Observe, एक fact observe हो गया. Then again you observe that there is a sanction. If the people violate his command, then there is the likelihood of sanctions. So that you can see, observe कर सकते हैं obviously. इसी तरह people in the society, there is a kind of society as well. और उस society में you would see that people of this society they are obeying it. ठीक है, ऐसा ही था कुछ. Now I will be now linking that theory with the next theory. These facts, for example, sovereignty जो है और command हो गया, because when you say command, it means that people are habitually following that command. It means mentally they are, psychologically they are prepared to follow that command, otherwise there would be a violation. ऐसा है ना? There is something from the psychology as well. Your mind's aptitude is towards obeying that law. So your psyche is playing an important role. The society in which you are living means some social aspects are somehow involved. अगर हम हार्ट को ले लें तो हार्ट की अप्रोच जो है that is the internal aspect. It means some sort of morality की कोई relevance कहीं ना कहीं है, if not completely. although कि validity के लिए वो relevant नहीं है, but morality को आप altogether exclude नहीं कर सकते हैं. Another term, sovereignty. Do you think that this sovereign concept, अगर आप इसे किसी डिसिप्लिन में डालना चाहें, जो हमारी आजकल की बाइफर्केशंस हैं डिफरेंट डिसिप्लिन्स की, सब्जेक्ट्स की, so where would this term sovereignty fit in? Would this be fit in sociology?
Political science.
Yes, political science. ठीक है? So it's more a matter of, it seems to be a matter of political science. Command seems to be a matter of psychology. Sanction में भी कहीं ना कहीं relevancy रखता है law के साथ. Similarly, sociological जो उसके society में people. Hans Kelsen, the next jurist that we are talking about, he says simply that in order to understand the nature of law, we have to be very pure in our approach. Pure in a sense that these reliance on political science, sovereignty, reliance on psychology, reliance on sociology, वो कहते हैं these are basically impurities if you are a real jurist. अगर आप really jurist हैं, so you would confine yourself only to the law and not to the political science and sociology or psychology and etc. etc. Whenever you have to attempt to understand the nature of law, you have to be very egoist कहें हम, maybe you have to be very legalist हम कह लें. You have to be very pure to understand the nature of law. Don't rely on others. Be pure. इसलिए he says that these, for example, natural theory में you rely on reason, religion. I mean religion पे भी आप rely करते हैं, divine scripture से law आ रहा है. वो कहते हैं ये भी legal चीजें नहीं है. So he calls them impurities. These are impurities, and he gives the theory in which these impurities have been excluded, and he tries to give a definition or nature of law which is very pure in its legal connotation. यहाँ तक थोड़ा सा context आपको समझ आ गया? How a general idea about Hans-Kelsen theory could be understood. यहाँ तक कोई अगर क्वेश्चन है तो आप मुझे बताएं, otherwise I move forward.
सर लग गई है समझ.
ठीक है, ओके. अब इसको हम फर्दर एक्सप्लेन कर लेते हैं कि मेन उसके कंटेंशन फर्दर क्या है, वो हम आगे देख लेते हैं. बेसिक आइडिया व्हेन वी से कि हैंस कैल्सन वो है क्या, दिस इज हिज पिक्चर, 20th सेंचुरी के लीडिंग फिलोसोफर में जूरिस्ट में था. Although his theory, I will show you, it is very much misunderstood, but still it is, I am going to teach you, there is a reason. ठीक है, ये ज़्यादा कोई कन्विंसिंग नहीं है, थोड़ी बहुत इसमें प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, लेकिन still I am going to teach it to you. The reason is that, the primary reason is that this is the theory which was actually applied in Pakistan. In one of the important judgments, Pakistani Supreme Court relied upon the theory of Hans Kelsen. That is why it's important for us. So let's first know about this gentleman, who this Hans Kelsen was. He was born in 1881 and he died in 73. By origin, he was an Austrian. उस वक्त ऑस्ट्रो हंगेरियन एक एम्पायर थी यहाँ पे, बट ही लेफ्ट फॉर जेनेवा. इनिशियली ही वेंट टू स्विट्जरलैंड बिकॉज नाजिस्ट वहाँ पे रूल कर रहे थे एट दैट टाइम ऑस्ट्रिया वगैरह में, एंड देयर वाज अ राइज ऑफ एंटी ज्यूइश. ही वाज अ ज्यू बेसिकली, सो देयर वाज एंटी ज्यूइश sentiments throughout the German occupied territory. So because of that, he left that Austria and went into Switzerland initially, and then he moved to US, I guess. Roscoe Pound says undoubtedly the leading jurist of the time, apne time ka, and he was basically in his approach, he was inspired from Immanuel Kant. You might have heard of his name, who was a German philosopher, जिसने कुछ नॉर्म्स की बात की थी. तो इसका भी जो थ्योरी है वो नॉर्म से इंस्पायर्ड है. वो वी आर शॉर्ट ऑफ टाइम, तो हम कांट और इसका कंपैरिजन शायद ना कर सकें. वी आर हार्डली दिस लेक्चर जहाँ पे मैं सारा वाइंड अप करूँगा इसके थॉट्स को. व्हाट ही डिड, हिज कंट्रीब्यूशन वाज इन ज्यूरिस्प्रूडेंस. इसकी आल्सो ही अटेम्प्टेड टू मेक ज्यूरिस्प्रूडेंस अ जेन्युइन एंड प्योर साइंस. वो कहते हैं कि हम ज्यूरिस्प्रूडेंस में भी वी नीड टू बी वेरी प्योर एंड साइंटिफिक एंड टू टेक इट अ जेन्युइन साइंस. ज्यूरिस्प्रूडेंस को भी साइंस लेना चाहिए. नाउ दिस इज द कमेंट फ्रॉम अ बुक जो कि मैंने आपके साथ शेयर भी की होगी, इंट्रोडक्शन टू लीगल थ्योरी, एंड इट सेज, इसका कमेंट इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग अबाउट हैंस केल्सन, एंड इट सेज दैट प्रोबेबली द लीस्ट अंडरस्टूड, Hans Kelsen, probably the least understood not only by students and mostly misinterpreted. यानी इसकी जो थॉट्स थे, जो इसने एक्सप्लेन करने की कोशिश की लॉ की, मोस्टली दैट हैज बीन ईदर लीस्ट अंडरस्टूड, उसको समझा नहीं गया वो कहना क्या जा रहा था. नॉट ओनली बाय स्टूडेंट, इट मीन्स जो फिलोसफर्स हैं, जो टीचर्स हैं, वो भी इसको प्रॉपरली सही समझे नहीं है. एंड इसलिए व्हेन ही वाज नॉट प्रॉपरली अंडरस्टूड, ही वाज मिसइंटरप्रेटेड. जो उसके थॉट्स थे वो उसकी रीज़न क्या थी? उसकी रीज़न बेसिकली हैंस केल्सन का रिलायंस था ऑन इम्मानुएल कांट. जो इम्मानुएल कांट था, ही वाज बेसिकली अ फिलोसोफर, मॉरल फिलोसफी, जनरल फिलोसोफर था. बड़ा इन्फ्लुएंस है इसका अभी भी फिलोसफी में. So he went too much into the philosophy. That was one of the reasons that he was not that much understood by the people after him. Now, what his theory is? Basically, as I told you, he gave us a formula to understand the law, in which he tries to exclude any material or factor which might obscure our perception of such law. कोई इसमें अगर impurities law को understand करने के लिए हैं तो वो exclude करने चाहिए. As a positivist, he believed that, no, that is an interesting statement. वो कहता है कि existence of the law, validity of the law, authority of the law, it has nothing to do with non-legal factors such as politics, morality, religion, ethics, and so on. When we have to determine whether a law exists or not, or where the law is in a particular society, when we have to determine whether a particular law is really valid or not, number three, whether we have to see whether a particular law has really an authority or not, वो कहते हैं इन तीन मेन क्वेश्चन को डिटरमिन करने के लिए, आंसर करने के लिए, we need not to look towards religion, towards politics, towards natural law theory, reason, perception, inner self, universe, no, ethics, morality in the society, no. He says we need to be very pure. The pure theory of law is a theory of positive law. Basically तो ये positive law से ही deal करता है. As a theory, it is exclusively concerned with the accurate definition of its subject matter. It endeavors to answer the question, what is the law? But not the question what it ought to be. Yani, like positivist, he does not go into the debate of what the law ought to be. Although ये ought use करता है, मैं आपको I'll explain you later. But what he says कि jurisprudence में हमने सिर्फ what is the law को determine करना है, इस question को हमने answer करना है. So he says that it is the science and not the politics of law. You have to be very scientific in your approach towards understanding the law. Politics नहीं खेलनी है आपने. ये ऐसे भी हो सकता है, ये वैसे भी हो सकता है, ये भी possibility, no, don't go into that. Let's be very scientific in our understanding of the law.
Excuse me, sir.
जी.
सर मेरे ना सिग्नल्स जिस जगह पे मैं हूँ ना वहाँ पर बहुत ही कम आ रहे हैं, तो मेरी क्लास कभी ज्वाइन हो रही है, कभी फिर से लीव कर रही है ना ये मीटिंग. तो आपसे काइंडली अगर मैं ना हुई अटेंडेंस के टाइम पे तो मेरी अटेंडेंस लगवा देंगे, वैसे मैं क्लास ले रही हूँ.
ठीक है, वो हम देख लेंगे. आपकी जो अटेंडेंस शीट है उसमें आपकी एंट्री एग्जिट चेक कर लेंगे.
सर अगर ना हुआ ना, क्योंकि नहीं होगी ना एंट्री, समटाइम्स लीव आप कर दो तो नहीं होती ना, तो काइंडली सर फिर कंसीडर कीजिएगा ये बात.
Yes, but if you are trying to get enter into the class, that will be a sign that you were trying to be online and you were around. अगर अभी
सर वैसे मैं गांव आई हूँ अपने, यहाँ पर ना कोई वाईफाई वगैरह कुछ भी नहीं लगा हुआ, और LTE जो 3G है वो भी बहुत स्लो चलता है, इसलिए मैंने कहा आपको इन्फॉर्म कर दूं. मेरी ऑलरेडी
आपसे जो मेरी कन्वर्सेशन हो रही है इसके से तो ऐसा नहीं लग रहा कि कोई 3G का प्रॉब्लम है.
जी सर, लेकिन अभी सही हो रही है ना, ये दरमियान में बिल्कुल कट जाते हैं सिग्नल्स. ठीक
है, अभी आप रहे ऑनलाइन तो you keep trying.
और सर अभी भी मैं रूफ टॉप पे आई हूँ क्लास लेने के लिए ना, तो इसलिए सही देख लीजिएगा. ठीक है.
अच्छा, now Hans Kelsen, because philosophical था, so he tries to restrict our analysis to the norms of positive law. What those odds which provide that if certain conduct, for example, X is performed, then a sanction Y should be applied by an official to the offender. Simply, if X, then Y. Norms का जो idea है, basically, he is trying to say कि norms almost वही है जो कि society में कुछ norms होते हैं, लेकिन वो तमाम norms which are necessarily backed by sanction. If a certain norm is violated, foreign sanction is applied. although कि इसने जो नॉर्म की जो डेफिनेशन देने की कोशिश किया है इट्स रियली कॉम्प्लिकेटेड, लेकिन सिंपली आप इसको ये डिफाइन अंडरस्टैंड करने की कोशिश करें कि इट रिलेट्स टू any behavior which is accepted in the society, and if it is violated then there is a sanction. This is what he calls the norms. और basically इसकी सारी theories जो है that is based upon norms. देखते हैं हमें. And he says we need to exclude impurities of things not objectively known. For instance, social purpose of law, its political function. I just told you, कहते these are all the impurities. इनको exclude कर लें in order to determine whether a norm exists or not. What we have to do, we have to see whether in case of violation of this norm, is there any sanction? Yes, there is sanction. Question number 2, whether a norm is valid or not. The second question again. Okay, for that you need not look to the sovereign or to the society. You have to look to the legal answer, जो कि मैं अभी आपको I tell you. Although he admits that there is an adulteration, mixing of other sciences in the law because of closeness. वो कहते हैं कि ये true है कि mixture हो रहा है political science का, ethics का, morality का, but he tried to make it a pure and unaffected from the mixture with other sciences and to deal the science of law by its own limits and domain. और ये मिलते जुलते हैं, fine. Morality से law inspired है, no doubt about that. लेकिन इसने जो theory देने की कोशिश की है, he tried कि when we have to understand the nature law, let's try to be very pure. So this will help us to make the law a pure science of law. So this is what he was trying to do in his thoughts. Now he says that there are moral norms in the society and there are legal norms in the society, and law is basically constituted by norms. By norms he means something ought to happen, especially that a human being ought to behave in a specific way. वही तकरीबन आप सोसाइटी में कुछ नॉर्म्स हैं, उस नॉर्म्स के मुताबिक ह्यूमन बीइंग बिहेव कर रहा होता है. वही उन्हीं norms are basically something that ought to be or ought to happen. People should do or behave in a particular way. That is a norm. Thus, the statement the door ought to be closed or a red traffic light, ये both are stopping on the red light. That is also behavior of human being. If someone enters the door and you ask him to close the door, or he should close the door in order to maintain privacy, that is also a norm somehow. Behavior reflect कर रहा होता है, आप कोई particular way से behave कर रहे होते हैं. But जिस norm की ये बात कर रहा है, means जो legal norm है, उसके लिए, उसकी validity के लिए, in order to see whether a norm is really valid or not, he says there are two conditions, or at least one condition, simply that the norm should be valid. जो भी norm है, जिसको हम legal norm कह सकते हैं, it should be valid. By valid and how to determine valid, whether a norm is valid or not, he gives a formula, his own formula. What is his formula? His formula is that the norm should be authorized by another norm or legal norm. Means अगर हमने ये देखना है कि पर्टिकुलर नॉर्म वैलिड है या नहीं, हमें ये देखना होगा कि इसको ऑथराइजेशन कहाँ से आ रही है, इसकी वैलिडिटी कहाँ से आ रही है. If this norm is being authorized by upper higher norm, then this is a valid norm. हम कह सकते हैं this is a norm, which in turn is authorized by another higher norm in the system. अब ये जो ऊपर वाली norm है, that is also then validated by another higher norm. तो इसी तरह you have to continue, एक pyramid develop हो जाता है, that each norm should be authorized by another norm unless we reach up to a norm जहाँ उसके आगे कोई norm नहीं होता है. वो क्या होता है वो हम later on देखते हैं. But so far is this clear that every norm, in order to see whether a particular norm is really valid or not, मेरा behavior that I am behaving in a particular way. For example, मैं आपको यहाँ पे classes exact this time पे मैंने आपको 10 बजे classes start करके 1 बजे तक मैं आज आपको class मेरा ये जो behavior is being regulated by a norm. Now whether this is a valid or not, how would I determine? I would see, or you people should see, whether in conducting this class at this particular time, am I being authorized by another higher norm? Yes, maybe the department has established or it has made timetable and I am supposed to follow that. So I can claim you people can't say that sir we will take class in the evening because हमारा mood नहीं है. On the other hand, I would say that the department has scheduled this timetable and you have to take the class at this time. And if you are absent, I can mark you absent. Okay? So it means my behavior is being authorized by another now. Now, the other question is whether the department which has issued that timetable, are they authorized to do that? Yes, there are certain rules of the university that allow the department to make timetables according to, or some directions by the campus to do. So ये भी हो गया कि department is being authorized by another higher norm. Now that university के जो rules हैं, whether they are valid or not, you have to see whether they are being authorized by another higher norm or not. So it means that yes, then you will go back and you will see that university has been authorized by the parliament to run the university, and for running the university they can make rules, and those rules are authorizing the campus, and then campus is authorizing the department, and department is authorizing me to conduct the class at this particular time. So this is, he says there is a chain of norms. इसी को अभी आपको मैं एक example real life से देता हूँ, and then you will get the idea. So he says that legal system is made of legal norms. Moral norms excluded है. आपकी सोसाइटी में various moral norms हैं, उनको फॉलो करें या ना करें, सैंक्शन उसके लिए ज़रूरी नहीं है. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर आपके पेरेंट्स ने आपको पनिश कर लिया है फॉर सम मिसबिहेवियर, तो आप whether your parents are authorized to do that or not, there is no answer. लेकिन अगर आपने किसी लॉ की वायलेशन कर ली है on the street and if the police officer arrests you, so you can't question him, because if you question him, then he will answer, yes, I am authorized by PPC to do that and the CRPC to do that, or the police order authorized me, rules authorized me to do that. So then you are silent, you cannot object. So मैं आपको एक और example दे देता हूँ. So the hierarchy of legal norms ultimately reaches up to the ground norm or the basic norm of the legal system. Obviously ये जो one norm authorized by another norm, that higher norm authorized by another norm, higher norm, that higher norm is being authorized by another higher norm, that is a chain of hierarchy, unless obviously there is a full stop. So in every society, there is a chain of commands or chain of norms until you reach up to a point where there is no upper or higher norm. And वो जो the laws or जिसे he calls it the basic, the very fundamental, the basic norm, he calls it the ground norm or the basic norm. Ground norm का मतलब भी basic ही होता है, foundation. As Kelson ने जो idea दिया. So this is his scheme of law, and I hope you are able to understand that norms, if you violate norm, there is a sanction, and that sanction, it comes, and whether that sanction is valid or not, or the norms as a whole is valid or not, you have to link it, you have to see the higher norm. इसी तरह you have to continue to look to the higher norms until you reach up to the highest norm, which is known as Grund norm. What is Grund norm and whether it's valid or not, that is an interesting question जो कि हम बाद में देखते हैं. Law and morality. जी.
मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है सर, वो जो आपने अभी एग्जांपल दी थी कि यूनिवर्सिटी को पार्लियामेंट रूल कर रही है, फिर यूनिवर्सिटी स्केड्यूल बनाती है, फिर हम उसको फॉलो कर रहे हैं
जी.
तो सर वो तो लीगल एस्पेक्ट में ना आ गया. पार्लियामेंट कोई मोरालिटी कॉन्सेप्ट तो नहीं निकाल रही ना, वो हमें एक लॉ दे रही है जिसपे यूनिवर्सिटी बाइंड है, तो वो सर हम मॉरल नॉर्म के साथ कैसे उसको समझा रहे हैं, मुझे समझ नहीं आ रही.
मॉरल नॉर्म का तो कहीं नहीं कहा.
सर ये जो आपने ये हायर नॉर्म इन द सिस्टम वाली में एग्जांपल दी थी, तो नॉर्म
when you are in the Hans-Kelsen's theory of law, norm means legal norms. जब भी मैं norm कह रहा हूँ it means legal norm. Moral norms तो उसने exclude ही कर दिया है. वो कहते हैं कि सोसाइटी में there are definitely moral norms and the legal norms, but as a positivist he will be in his theory of law he will be talking about legal norms only. सारी discussion legal norms की हो रही है. For example, when he says that something, if you look at the second line, by norms he means something ought to happen, especially that a human being ought to behave in a specific way, otherwise there will be a consequence. पिछली slide में अगर आप देखें, if X then Y. So if X then Y, it means this is a legal norm. Or I gave you the example, in some moral norms, they may not be backed by sanction and they may not be really necessarily legally valid. You have to be legally valid in order to make a legal system. सारे legal system की वो बात कर रहा हूँ. Okay, law and validity and positivist means that validity of legal norms can flow only from another legal norms as opposed to with moral norms. I just told you कि जो एक legal system में every legal norms उसकी validity you will not depend upon the moral norms. यानी if the parents they are punishing you for any action, and obviously parents normally they derive their authority from the moral norms. वो कहते हैं कि ये जो रिलेशनशिप है, ये जो नॉर्म्स हैं, ये नहीं माने जाएंगे. Only that norm would be accepted which is further authorized by another legal norm. अगर आपको पेरेंट्स ने किसी ऐसी कोई पनिशमेंट दी है जिसमें आपने लीगल नॉर्म को वायलेट किया है, और अगर पेरेंट्स अथोराइज्ड भी हैं लीगल नॉर्म्स के मुताबिक, only then it will be the case and not otherwise. So every legal norm is a legal norm only if it has been authorized by another higher legal norm. ये सारे जो norms की मैंने बातें की हैं, they all are legal norms. The higher legal norm authorizing another higher legal norm and another higher norm legal norm until they reach up to the Grund norm. अब Grund norm is really a legal or not, वो हम बाद में देखते हैं. यहाँ तक क्लियर है?
जी सर.
ठीक है. Now norms and sanction की हम थोड़ी सी बात कर लें, because he, like Austin, somehow he also emphasized upon the sanction. So norms are also techniques used by politicians or policymakers to determine how individual ought to behave to promote order and peace. Basically, okay, तो obviously जो भी norms हैं society में जो आपने establish करने हैं, they will be coming from the policymakers, and this is the, if you expect a particular behavior from the society, you issue that norms from the politicians, जो कि policy makers हैं obviously, or the parliament. So they issue a norm which is to regulate or to regulate the behavior of human being in order to keep the society in peace and order. For example, ये तमाम जो आपके no one should be killed उस पे आपने norm बना लिया and then no one can kill other in a society उस norm की वजह से. If you do that, there is a sanction. And according to him, these norms are always attached with sanctions. Sanction applied if norms not followed. Yani he also stresses upon the importance of sanction. Thus, this norm makes the behavior an individual either lawful or unlawful. अगर आपने norm के मुताबिक आप रहे तो आप यानी norm में जो भी norm may tell you to do something or not to do something. So you will be judged according to that norm. If the norm commands you to do any act, ठीक है? If the norm says that if you have made any transaction with the third party regarding sale purchase of a house, the norm says you must commit that, you must fulfill that. So you are supposed to do something. On the other hand, the norm says that you must not make noise or pollution in the streets. So you have been restrained from doing anything. इसको आप अप्लाई करें बहुत सारी PPC के सारे सैंक्शन उठा लें या सिविल लॉ को उठा लें. These are all उसकी further examples हो जाएगी. But basically both either omission or action, they both are regulating the behavior. Either you have to do or not to do something. Legal norms different because of this sanction of state. जो legal norm होते हैं, they are always distinguishable because they are being backed by the state power. Parent के पास ये authority नहीं होती है. Society में आपने कोई moral norms की violation की तो उसमें अगर कोई बुजुर्ग आपको या कोई respectable आपको कोई रोक लेता है, even he slaps you, तो बुजुर्ग के पास कोई state की authority नहीं है. So you won't call it a legal norm. Legal norm should always be backed by sanction. उस sanction के पीछे state की authority है. So legal system is founded on state coercion, state के powers हमेशा they are backing. Now this is another example. I think ये इसने खुद ही दी थी that tax collector और एक robber, they both are applying coercion. They are both are applying force to get your money. ठीक है? एक टैक्स कलेक्टर भी आपको नोटिस देता है and he says if you don't pay, मैं आपको further fine कर दूंगा. And the situation may go up to a very dire consequences. You may be jailed or whatever the case may be if you are unable to pay that. ठीक है? On the other hand, a robber, he also with force he commands you to give you the money. So what is the difference between these two? The difference is that of a validity. That the tax collector has a prior norm, a higher norm that authorizes him. एक robber को कोई norm authorize नहीं कर रहा है. Rather, he is violating another norm that says you should not snatch the property or valuable thing of other people. So that is why the norm of the robber is not valid because that is not authorized, while the norm of a tax collector, the norm to give money to the tax collector is basically a valid norm because that is being authorized by another higher norm. His coercive order can also lack lasting effectiveness. इसी तरह robbers के पास sanction करने की कोई authority नहीं है और ना ही वो हर एक के आगे legally उस authority को utilize कर सकता है कि everywhere he is going to use that force. And again, if I hierarchy or norms, if we apply on the tax collector, so any of the inspector, he issues you a notice that you have not paid the tax for this previous year. So pay it within 2 or 3 months or within 2 or 3 days, whatever the case may be. So we have to see whether the tax collector के पास, where is he deriving the authority. And if you get into the detail, you would see that the tax rules might be authorizing tax collector to take that action. And again, if you get into the tax rules, whether tax rules are really valid or not, you have to see whether they are being authorized by another higher norm. So yes, you will see that these rules have been made by the tax authority, but they have been given that authority by the parliament through enactment. Normally in all the acts there is one provision that allows the relevant organizational authority to make rules. So उस rules की वजह से अगर tax collector कोई काम कर रहा है, it means the rules are also valid because they have been authorized, they have been validated by the act of the parliament. Now another question, whether the parliament is making a law, where do they derive their authority? So again, you will go back to the constitution, and the constitution will be providing that there will be a legislature, uski appointment ka procedure. I think if you have not so far gone through the constitution, you have all the basic principles, basic requirements to become a member of the parliament, how it is they are elected, what is their age, what are their disqualifications, where they can represent themselves, constituencies, etc. These all have been provided by the constitution. So another question, whether this constitution being a valid higher norm is really valid or not, we have to see whether it has been authorized by another norm. वो another norm क्या है? That another norm basically अगर हम actual case में देखें, that basically constitution से above एक norm है जिसको हम कहते हैं, that will be the ground norm. What that ground norm in Pakistan is, हम उसको देखते हैं बाद में. इस slide को मैं जरा quickly देख लेता हूँ. I think I have explained it to you. Chain or hierarchy of norms, and every valid norm is authorized by another norm. And I think ये slide मैंने almost जो आपको बता दी है कि उसी से relate करती है. Now, what is this ground norm or the basic norm? उससे पहले I would need 10 minutes break, बल्कि 8 minutes break. I will be joining you at 11:15 इंशाल्लाह. फिर हम इस बेसिक जो अल्टीमेट नॉर्म है इसकी हम डिस्कशन करते हैं. दैट इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग एंड दैट इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द अदर हायर नॉर्म्स. So see you after 8 minutes inshallah.